Governments around the world have now officially confirmed that unidentified aerial phenomena are real. But what if the answer to what they are has been sitting in ancient texts for thousands of years? What if the operators of these craft are not extraterrestrial but supernatural? Today, we explore what the Bible and other ancient documents reveal about these mysterious vehicles and the angelic beings who operate them.
Let's begin with one of the most dramatic accounts in all of Scripture. In 2 Kings chapter 2, the prophet Elijah is taken up into heaven, not by death, but by a vehicle. The text describes a chariot of fire and horses of fire that appeared and separated Elijah from Elisha, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. This was not metaphor. This was a physical craft, described as fiery, mechanical in appearance, and capable of atmospheric and space transit. An angelic vehicle operating in the physical realm.
Perhaps the most technically detailed account in all of Scripture comes from the prophet Ezekiel. In Ezekiel chapter 1, Ezekiel describes a whirlwind coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire and brightness all around it. Within it he saw 4 living creatures, angelic beings, each associated with a wheel within a wheel. These wheels had rims full of eyes, moved in any direction without turning, and lifted off the ground in perfect coordination with the living creatures inside. Aerospace engineers and theologians alike have noted the striking mechanical precision of this description. Ezekiel was describing an intelligently operated craft, piloted by angelic beings.
The Book of Enoch gives us extraordinary detail about angelic activity and their movement between realms. And before anyone dismisses this ancient text as obscure or irrelevant, understand that the Book of Enoch is directly quoted and alluded to numerous times throughout the New Testament. The Book of Jude quotes it directly. Peter alludes to it. Paul echoes its language. Matthew, Luke, and Revelation all carry unmistakable traces of Enoch's theology and imagery. Additionally, Acts chapter 2 verse 3 echoes 1 Enoch chapter 14 verse 8 through 17, where Enoch describes a ceiling from which flames descended like tongues. The imagery of divine fire descending in the form of tongues appears in Enoch centuries before Pentecost, suggesting that Luke's audience, steeped in Second Temple Jewish literature, would have immediately recognized the connection. The New Testament writers knew this book. They respected it. They built upon it. In 1 Enoch chapter 14, Enoch himself is transported by angelic beings through the heavens in what he describes as a structure of crystal and fire. 1 Enoch also describes the Watchers, a class of angels assigned to observe the earth, who descended from heaven to the summit of Mount Hermon. Their descent from heaven to earth implies transit, movement through space between celestial and terrestrial realms.
The Book of Jubilees, highly regarded in Second Temple Judaism and found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, expands on the Genesis account and gives further detail about angelic operations on earth. And like Enoch, the Book of Jubilees carries significant weight in the New Testament world. Scholars have identified at least 5 direct citations or clear allusions to the Book of Jubilees within the New Testament writings, confirming that the early Christian writers were thoroughly familiar with its contents and treated it as authoritative source material. Jubilees chapter 4 describes the Watchers, called angels of the Lord, who were sent to earth to teach mankind and observe creation. Jubilees chapter 5 records their unauthorized descent and interaction with humanity. What is significant here is that both Enoch and Jubilees treat the movement of angels between heaven and earth as routine transit, purposeful, directional travel through space. These were not purely spiritual movements, they were physical descents and ascents observed by human witnesses.
Now here is where the ancient literature makes a critical distinction that most people have never heard. According to 1 Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, when the Watcher angels descended and took the daughters of men as wives, they produced hybrid offspring, giants known as the Nephilim, recorded in Genesis chapter 6. These Nephilim were neither fully angelic nor fully human. They were something in between. When the Nephilim died, and they did die, many destroyed in the flood of Noah, their spirits did not go to the same place as human souls. According to 1 Enoch chapter 15, God declared that because the Nephilim were born of both flesh and spirit, their disembodied spirits would wander the earth as unclean spirits. This is the origin of demons. The demons are not fallen angels. The demons are the disembodied spirits of the dead Nephilim.
This distinction is absolutely critical when identifying the operators of these aerial craft. Demons, the spirits of dead Nephilim, are unclean spirits. And unclean spirits, as the New Testament makes unmistakably clear, cannot manifest or operate inside the physical realm on their own. They require a physical body as a host. We see this plainly in the account of the man possessed by Legion in Mark chapter 5. When Jesus commanded the unclean spirits to leave the man, they immediately begged permission to enter the herd of swine nearby. Why? Because without a physical host, a body to inhabit, they could not remain active in the physical realm. An unclean spirit without a body is powerless to physically interact with the material world. Therefore, whatever is operating these highly advanced physical craft in our skies, it cannot be demons. Demons do not have the capacity to pilot physical vehicles. They cannot exist in open space. They must possess. They must inhabit. The operators of these craft are something else entirely.
In Genesis chapter 28, Jacob witnesses what is described as a ladder or stairway set up on the earth with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. The Hebrew word used here, sulam, implies a structured pathway of transit. Angels moving up and down between heaven and earth in an organized, repeated manner. This is not isolated mysticism. This is a consistent biblical pattern. Angels transit between the celestial and terrestrial realms using structured means of conveyance.
The book of Daniel gives us one of the most remarkable and overlooked accounts of angelic activity in all of Scripture. In Daniel chapter 10, Daniel had been fasting and praying for 21 days waiting for a response from God. When the angel finally arrived, he immediately explained the delay. He told Daniel, "From the first day you began to pray, your words were heard and I was dispatched to come to you. But the prince of Persia, a powerful fallen angelic being, withstood me and blocked my transit for 21 days. It was not until the archangel Michael came and engaged this fallen angel in battle that the messenger was able to break through and complete his journey to Daniel." This account reveals several extraordinary things. First, angels are dispatched from heaven on missions that require physical transit through space. They travel, they move, they can be intercepted. Second, fallen angels occupy territories and actively resist the movement of faithful angels through those territories. Third, this conflict was not spiritual in some abstract sense. It was a physical confrontation between angelic beings in transit, beings capable of blocking, battling, and breaking through one another in the space between heaven and earth. And here is something most people have never considered: angels, whether faithful or fallen, are not omnipresent. Only God is omnipresent. Angels are finite beings, bound by space and time, limited to wherever they physically are at any given moment. They cannot be in two places at once. They must travel to get from one location to another. The very fact that the angel sent to Daniel was delayed, intercepted and held in place for 21 days, proves beyond any doubt that angels occupy a single point in space and time at any given moment. The skies are not empty. They are populated and contested.
When we lay these ancient accounts alongside modern UAP testimony, craft that defy known physics, appear and disappear instantly, operate underwater and in space equally, and are piloted by intelligences that interact with human beings, the biblical framework becomes impossible to ignore. These are not visitors from distant galaxies, and as we have now established from the ancient literature itself, they are not demons either. The Bible presents a populated universe of angelic beings, some obedient to God, some fallen, who have been transients between heaven and earth since before human history began. What governments are now calling unidentified aerial phenomena, the ancient world called chariots of fire, wheels within wheels, and the hosts of heaven.
The Bible is not silent on this subject. From Elijah's chariot of fire to Ezekiel's living wheels, from Enoch's crystal transport through the heavens to the descending watches of Jubilees, Scripture presents a consistent picture of angelic beings operating vehicles capable of space transit. The Nephilim are identified as the origin of demonic spirits, and those spirits require physical possession to operate in our world. They cannot pilot craft. They cannot navigate space. The operators of these vehicles are angelic beings, either faithful or fallen, who have been active in our skies since the beginning of recorded history. And unlike God, who is omnipresent and unlimited, angels are finite creatures bound by space and time. They exist in one place at one moment. They must travel, they can be delayed, they can be intercepted. Consider this: Human beings are also limited to wherever they physically are at any given moment. When a human being needs to travel from one place to another, they require a means of transportation: a car, a ship, an airplane. The distance must be covered. The journey must be made. Angels are no different. Being finite creatures occupying a single point in space at any given moment, angels must also cover the distance between where they are and where they are going. They require vehicles capable of transience the vast distances between heaven and earth, between the celestial and terrestrial realms. What governments are now calling unidentified aerial phenomena, the ancient world understood completely. These are the chariots of heaven, piloted by angelic beings who have been navigating the space between realms since the foundation of the world. If this opened your eyes to something you've never considered before, like and subscribe, and tell us in the comments, do you think UFOs are angelic craft?